Elena had been filming the Andersons for 3 years. Birthdays. Graduations. That chaotic Thanksgiving where the turkey caught fire. Every memory captured and preserved. Victoria Anderson paid on time. Every single time. She recommended Elena to friends, always using her full name like it mattered. You have to meet Elena Martinez. She's incredible. When Elena found that perfect client photographer fit, she thought, this is it. This one's different. Then came that rainy Tuesday afternoon. Victoria's call, her voice cracking, words tumbling over sobs. My daughter's wedding photos, the USB corrupted. Everything's gone. A pause. Heavy breathing. Can you recover them, please? I'll pay anything. Elena worked 50 straight hours. She didn't eat properly, barely slept. But she recovered every single file. The ceremony, the first dance, the father-daughter moment that made everyone cry. When Victoria hugged her, tears streaming down both their faces, Elena felt like she'd saved more than photographs. She'd saved a family's history. 4 weeks later, she saw her work in print. Victoria Anderson, the visionary photographer. Every photo Elena had taken over 3 years, stamped with Victoria's name. Not a single credit remained. Elena's hands wouldn't stop shaking. The magazine was spread across her kitchen table. Wedding portraits she'd composed. Family moments she'd captured at dawn to get perfect light. Anniversary sessions where she'd coaxed genuine smiles from couples who hadn't smiled at each other in months. All of it. Victoria's now. The article praised Victoria's recent emergence as a photographer. Her unique eye for emotion. Her raw, authentic style. Elena grabbed her phone. There's a mistake, she said when Victoria answered. Her voice sounded small. Those photos, they're mine. The warmth in Victoria's voice evaporated. Can you prove that? Because I have the only copies now. The room tilted. Elena gripped the counter. The corrupted USB. The panic. The recovery. Victoria had planned it. Corrupted the drive herself. Wiped her own backups. Let Elena restore everything perfectly, then kept it all. You signed a release. Victoria continued. For the family photos. Remember? Elena did remember. 3 years ago. A simple form. She'd been setting up for a shoot, barely glanced at it. Just personal use, she'd assumed. Vacation pictures. Nothing commercial. Check the fine print, Victoria said. You transferred commercial rights. All of them. Elena pulled up the old email. Scrolled to the attachment. There it was. Buried in paragraph 7, subclause 3. Legal language that gave Victoria everything. Try suing me if you want, Victoria said, almost bored now. My lawyers will destroy you. You'll lose your studio, your equipment, everything. The call ended. Elena stood in her tiny studio, surrounded by her life's work. Except none of it was hers anymore. Elena didn't sleep. Couldn't. At 3 a.m., she opened her laptop. Started pulling up old folders. Years of work, organized by client and date. She clicked through raw files. The unedited originals that showed her vision before the final polish. Then she saw it. Metadata. Every photograph carries invisible information. Timestamp. Camera serial number. GPS coordinates. Editing software signatures. the digital fingerprint of creation. Victoria had the finished photos, but Elena had the DNA. She spent the next week rebuilding her archive. Serial numbers from her Canon 5D matching every image. GPS data showing she was at each location. Edit logs showing her Lightroom workflow. The specific adjustments she made to contrast, saturation, tone curves. Victoria had stolen the art, but she couldn't steal the proof of its creation. Elena found them by accident. She'd reached out to a photographer she knew casually, Marcus Chen, just to ask if he'd noticed anything strange with Victoria. "You too," was all he said. They met at a coffee shop. Marcus slid a folder across the table. Inside were contracts, emails, a charity event shoot he'd done where Victoria later used the photos in a paid campaign. 0 credit. 0 compensation. I thought about fighting it, Marcus said, stirring his coffee without drinking. But her lawyer sent me a cease and desist before I could even talk to my own attorney. Said they'd sue me for defamation. Elena found 6 others within 2 weeks. A portrait photographer. A corporate events specialist. Someone who shot product photography for local businesses. Each had a nearly identical story. Victoria finding a legal loophole. Taking credit. Threatening litigation. The pattern wasn't accidental. It was a system. Elena's studio transformed into something between a newsroom and a detective's office. Printouts covered one wall, timelines connecting Victoria's emergence to stolen work. Screenshots of interviews where Victoria contradicted her own dates. Scanned contracts showing identical clause structures across different photographers. She recorded voice memos while cooking dinner, scared she'd forget details. Timestamps. Names. Specific lies Victoria had told in articles. One evening, she looked up from her desk. The floor was covered in evidence. Sticky notes mapped connections. Red string would have completed the crime drama aesthetic, but this was real life. Real theft. Real lives damaged. Marcus stopped by with another photographer, Sarah Kim. "We want to help," Sarah said. "Whatever you're planning." Elena hadn't known she was planning anything. Until that moment. Elena didn't call a lawyer. She called a web designer. 3 days later, the site went live. theiralphotographer.com. No screaming headlines. No angry rants. Just evidence. Side-by-side comparisons. Raw files from Elena's drives next to Victoria's published work. Metadata showing camera serial numbers and timestamps. Contracts highlighting the buried clauses. Testimonies from 6 other photographers, each with their own evidence. A timeline showing Victoria's portfolio appeared only after these photographers' work went missing from their own sites. The truth laid out like photographs in a gallery. Copy code. XML, Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Elena clicked publish. Then she waited. At first, nothing. She refreshed the analytics. 3 visitors. Then 7. Then 15. By noon, a wedding planner she'd worked with shared it in a vendor group. A makeup artist posted it on Instagram. Comments started appearing. Couples recognizing their own weddings, tagged with Victoria's name instead of Elena's. By 6 p.m., the site had crashed from traffic. Elena switched to a better host. By midnight, photography forums were debating ethics. Threads multiplied. Screenshots spread across Twitter. Industry Facebook groups lit up with heated discussions. People weren't just reading. They were checking their own contracts, questioning their own experiences. Victoria stayed silent for 3 days. Then came the lawyer's statement, posted to Instagram, shared by a PR firm. These baseless accusations constitute defamation. Legal action is being pursued. It didn't work. The comments section filled with photographers sharing metadata files. Couples demanding to know who actually shot their weddings. Vendors sharing their own stories of Victoria's manipulative contracts. The first brand dropped her within a week. A camera company removed her from their ambassadors page without announcement. The magazine that featured her published a quiet retraction buried on page 43. Wedding venues stopped responding to her emails. Planners removed her from preferred vendor lists. The industry runs on word of mouth and reputation. Victoria's reputation had shattered like a dropped lens. 3 weeks after the website launched, Elena got an email from the same magazine that had featured Victoria. We're planning a feature on authentic voices in photography. Would you be interested? Elena stared at the message for a long time. Then she deleted it. Clients started returning. Slowly. Not because the internet delivered justice. It rarely does. But because her story made people think about who creates the art they consume. That spring, Elena booked a small ceremony. 50 guests. As she adjusted her camera settings, the groom approached nervously. "We're really glad it's you," he said. "We wanted someone real." Elena smiled, lifted her camera. The shutter clicked. History continued. This time, with her name on it. And that, more than any revenge, was everything.